In the last session, we started with the React introduction, and we have seen how to create a React project using Vite. And we have created the project folder, React project, and a React folder. So let me open this project in command prompt. So when whichever the folder you are working on, React project folder, in this address bar, type cmd, which opens our project folder in command prompt. Now let me open this project in Visual Studio Code using the command code dot. Here it is the project folder in our Visual Studio Code, and in this one we have seen the workflow. Whenever you make a request to React project, it will go to index.html file. In index.html file, it's going to load main.jsx. And in main.jsx file, we are referring to this app component. App is the root component. So once it comes to this app.jsx, so it's going to load this function app. So whenever we say this app, no, the file name is app.jsx. The function should start with the capital case here, app. Then whatever you are returning, this will be displayed on our browser. And for this app component, the styling is done using app.css file. Now, let us build the project. What is the command? npm run dev. npm run dev. Then it's going to start your Vite, and it's asked you to open browser and type the URL localhost 5173. Open browser, type the URL http://5173. So this is the content what is getting displayed on our browser. Moving to today's part, we are going to see about functional components in React.js. What is this functional component is like? A functional component is a JavaScript function. Is what is a JavaScript function that starts with a capital letter. That starts with a capital letter. Just now we have seen this app function. Now it is starting with what? Capital letter. So this is a functional component that starts with a capital letter, takes props as input. So what is this props? We'll discuss again. Takes props as input and returns JSX. What is JSX? I said JavaScript XML. And it's going to return JSX. These functional components, they are easy to write and understand. These functional components are what? They are easy to write and understand. Then we are having one more way of creating components, that is class components. So class components are legacy components, means older one. So nowadays we are using only functional components in React.js in order to create the components. Class components are legacy one. The modern React almost exclusively uses functional components with hooks, which make use of hooks. What are hooks? We'll be seeing in the next sessions. We are having use state, use effect hooks like that to do some functionalities. Now, let us understand this with an example code. Let us understand with the example application. Let us create one folder, create a folder components. Create a folder components in src folder. See here, in our Visual Studio Code, we are having one folder src. Select this folder src, and you can, if you click on this new folder, see the options here, new folder. When you click here, it will ask you the folder name. I'm giving the folder name like components. Then in this components folder, let us create one more folder, header. Create a folder, headers, in components folder. So now onwards, whenever you want to create a new component, let us create under components folder. So let us create one folder, headers. Select this folder components. Again, click here, new folder. Let me go with the name headers. Now we are in headers folders. Now create a file header.jsx. Header.jsx in headers folder. In headers folder, we are creating a functional component called as header.jsx. Header.jsx. So even in the document, I'll provide the code. Under headers, create a new file now. So select this first option, new file. Let me go with the name header.jsx. The extension should be JSX, means JavaScript XML. Now start writing the code here, function header. So how the function should start? It's a functional component, means the function name should start with a capital case. Now here we'll return, we have to select this, return in between parentheses and with semicolon. Here we have to return our content. So let me create one division. Here I'm going to return H3. Welcome to Raj Technologies. I'm returning a message, welcome to Raj Technologies. Now, if I want to use this header component in some other components, we have to write here export default header. So once we write export default header, the component name, then I can use this component anywhere. Now, next step, how to include this header component in our app.jsx. So let me write here in app.jsx. Let me write here division. In between this division, I'm going to add header. Here, when I'm writing a header, see, we are getting in the suggestion, select this header, press enter key, so that the respective import will happen automatically. So just if I use this header tag, then it goes to this header.jsx. This component will be loaded for us. So this is a component now. So whenever you want to display the content of header component, just we have to use the element here header. That's it. So this only we call rendering. So we are rendering header component in our web page. Now check it here on your browser. Somewhere small mistake. Written app division. Here we have to go with the parenthesis and with parenthesis semicolon. The content whichever you want to render, that should come in between the parentheses. Now check the result. So what is our content? See, welcome to Raj Technologies. That content is displaying on our browser. And since in app.css, we have already given this one. So that's the reason it is taking that. And even index.css, already there is some code. In index.css, already some styles are there. Let me remove all the styles. So once I remove this index.css styles, the global styles. Now see, we are getting to the left alignment. And in app.css, already we have given the color as blue. Let me even remove this part. I'm not having any content under app.css. Now see the result. Simply we are getting, see the message. Welcome to Raj Technologies. Means there are no styles. Now let me apply the styles here. So I want to give the styles for header component only. So when you want to give styles for header component, what you do is, let me copy this and paste over here for your reference. Now let us create a file. So I want to provide styles for header component. So create a file. I'm going with the name header.css in headers folder. Header.css. Header.css. So let us provide the styles for this. Create a new file under headers folder. Create a new file. Header.css. Now provide the styles here. Dot header. Dot header. I'm saying position as a relative. Then top margin 0. Top margin 0. Then width 100%. Then height, let me say some 30 pixel. Then background color, let me say some green, some colors. Then text align, center, color of the text, I'm saying white. So these are the styles I've given for header. Now, once I provide the styles, now I want to use this header.css in my header.jsx. So what we should write here, import. 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 What file I want to import? Header.css. That's it. Now how to refer to this class? How to refer to this class header is, here we are having div element. No, here we have to use class name equal to header. That's it. So once I refer class name equal to header, it will come to this header.css. This header styles will be applicable for this complete division. Now see the output. See. So here we are saying the position relative. With top margin is 0, 0, and width is 100%. It's occupying the complete width of your browser. Background color green, text alignment is center, and color is white. Right? Now, I want to make this component reusable. So whenever you create one component, just if you create one component, I can make this component reusable. How to make the component reusable? Just to use this element multiple times. That's it. So when I use the element multiple times, we are going to get, see, multiple components here. So reusable of components is very, very easy in the case of React. Just we have to use the element thing. Once I use this component name, what is our component name? Header. So once I use this component header, so wherever you require this component, just use this element. That's it. So once I create the component, this component is reusable. Got it up here? Let me copy this code. Paste it over here for your reference. Next one. Let us go with the footer part. Footer. Create a file. Create a file or create a folder. Let us create a folder, footers, in components folder. Create a file, footer.jsx, in footers folder. Footer.jsx. Under components folder, under components, let me create a new folder, footers. Under footers, let me create a new file, footer.jsx. Now, here, create a function, footer, right here, return. Here, you take one div, and let me go with the h3, copyright, Raj Technologies. Now, if I want to use this footer component in some other applications, in some other components, what we should write here, export default footer. That's it. Now, in app.jsx, whenever you want to use footer component, just use the element here, footer. That's it. So whenever we use this footer element, this footer component will be loaded for us. Footer component will be loaded. Now, so let me write like this, footer. So from the drop down, select this footer so that the respective import will happen automatically. See the result here? See, we are getting the result. Now let us apply the styles for this footer. To apply the styles, let us create a file. Under footers folder, let us create a new file, footer.css. Now, provide the styles for footer. I'm going with the class name footer, position, absolute. Then from bottom, the margin is 0. Bottom margin 0. Then width is 100%. Height is 30 pixel. Then background color, some green, colors are your wish. Then text alignment is center. Color of the text is, I'm saying white. Now, this footer class, I should refer into this footer.jsx file. So import it. Import single quotes dot slash footer.css. And what is the class name we have given? Footer.css. What is the class name? Footer. So refer here in footer.jsx. For this division, provide the class name as footer. So once I refer to the class name as footer, now see, we are getting copyright Raj Technologies. Okay. Right? Something it has come down that you can manage from your end. Right. Let me copy these codes. Footer.jsx, then create a folder, create a file, footer.css in footers folder. Footer.css. This is the code of footer.css. Next, finally, update app.jsx. App.jsx. What is the code we have? Whenever you want to include some other components, just use the element of the component. That's enough. So this is the code of app.jsx. Right? One small note, remove the code to make this application work. Remove the code presenting index.css and app.css. Okay, then only we are going to get our own styles. Else, these global styles will be applicable. So whenever you want to get the styles of your respective components, we should not have any styles in this. Okay, if they are having styles but not matching with our styles, no problem. Then the styles present in this one will be applicable. Any questions, anyone? No. Moving to the next one. Let us understand about props. Props means passing data. Let us understand about props. Passing data. Props, short for properties. Properties are how data flows from a parent component into a child component. From parent, when you want to share some data, we make use of props. So in this example, app is our parent component. In this example, app is our parent component and the child components are header and footer. Header and footer comes under as child component. So from this app component, whenever you want to give some data to the child component, we make use of the concept called as props. Props are read only. Props are read only. Means a child must never modify the properties of the props it receives. The child cannot modify the props what it is going to receive. Now, let us understand this with the example application. Let us understand with example. Before we go to this, we are having one small concept called as embedding JavaScript expressions. Embedding JavaScript expressions. So what is this one is wrap any JavaScript expression in curly braces. Wrap any JavaScript expression in curly braces inside JSX. Let me elaborate all these parts using the example. Let us understand how to make use of these properties, how to pass data from parent to child, and how to read the properties data. So in order to read this properties data only, we use this embedding JavaScript expressions, curly braces. Now, let me elaborate this with the example code, how to work with this. For this, create a folder, profiles, in components folder. Create a file, profile, create a file profile.jsx in profiles folder. Profile.jsx. Now, let us do the steps now. Let us create a folder profiles here. Let me close all these files. In components folder, let me create a new folder, profiles. In this profiles folder, create a new file, profile.jsx. Now, here, let us create one function. Let us create one function What is the name? Profile, which takes props as the argument. Which is taking what? Props as the argument. Now right here, return parenthesis semicolon. Here what we do is, here in this one, from app component, I want to share some data to this profile. Now let me remove this piece of code. So now I want to make use of profile component. So call here profile. Import profile. Oh, sorry, here we have to right now. That's the reason it's not taking export default profile. That's the reason it is not taking over here export default profile. Now come here. Instead of retyping, let our Visual Studio take care of this. So if I just use profile now, see here, it's showing the list here from components. So import profile from components / profile / profile. So we have included this profile component. Now whenever we invoke this profile, I want to share some data. To this profile, I want to share some data. Like the data what I want to share over here is, I want to share the name. I want to share the name and the role. Like this. Let me go with the example like name initially. So profile name equal to some name. So this app component is our parent component. So I'm invoking the child component profile. To that I'm sharing some data. So in order to read this data to my child component, we make use of these props. We make use of this what? Props here. So how to read the data is, we have to say like this. Here let me go with the element div. Here we'll say h3 name colon. I want to take what value now? This name value. So how to take that value is, we have to select this. In between curly braces, we have to select this. Props dot name. So when you say name colon props dot name, then what are the name you have passed over here? That name will get displayed at this place. Now see the result. Here it's displaying see that name for us. Similar way, let me pass one more data like a role. Role will say full stack Java trainer. I'm taking one more value called as role, full stack Java trainer. Then how to take the value of this role? Come to this profile.jsx. Now let me write here h4 role colon. How to take the value? Props dot role. So once I say props dot role, now see we are getting the role also here. Now if I want to apply some styles, create one file. Under profiles, create one more new file, profile.css. Now here, let me take the class name dot some class name you can provide. Profile card. It's a profile card where we'll say color as red. Let me do. We have taken two elements, right? H2 and H4. Let me go with that one. H3 color as red. And for H4, let me take color as some blue. That's it. I have provided styles. Come to this profile.jsx, import single quotes dot slash profile.css. That's it. Now see the result here. So name is coming in red color, role is coming in blue color. Now, let me send one more data. Let me create one more profile component. So write like this, profile, name equal to some name, role equal to stack Python trader. Stack Python trader. Now see the result here. See, we get two components here. Now, similar way, if I want to create one more, you can say one more profile, name equal to some name, role, Java developer. Here we get the results here. P small app given capital case. We are getting here. So we have created totally 3 profile components. So once you create a component once, I can use this component multiple times. And whenever you want to share the data, this is my parent component. App is my parent component. From parent component, I want to send some data to child component. Profile is our child component. Then, so what are the data I'm sending to the child component? The properties, that values I can read by using this props. So to take that value, props.name, props.row. So in between curly braces, we need to read. So that concept only what I said here, embedding JavaScript expressions. So by using these curly braces in JSX, we can take the values of it. Got it? Any questions? Let me paste the complete code for your reference. Then next one, create a file, profile.css in profiles folder. Profile.css. Finally, update the file app.csx. So every time we need to update this main component. I'm providing all the codes in the notes here, right? So whenever you want to run, what command we have to use? Into your prompt or terminal, npm run dev. Okay, to terminate, type q. So when you want to terminate, just if you press q now at this place, it will get terminated. It will come out. If you just type q and press enter key, then it's going to come out. So type q and press enter. The link is open browser. Once it compiles, open browser and type http://localhost:5173. That's it. Okay. So practice all these things. Very, very important React. If you practice, you can easily manage this. Okay. In tomorrow's class, let me go with one more example related to this functional component. Right. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you all.